take account or think of all the good things that you have, and then use that gratitude that within yourself to do something for someone else.
Hey guys, Dr. Viv here, and welcome again on Research with Dr. Viv. Today I have got a special guest, Chris D.T. Gordon. He is a special education teacher and professional speaker, and he's someone who uses his experience with flesh-eating bacteria to motivate people to adopt an attitude of gratitude and reach for greatness in their own terms. And today, Chris and I are going to be talking about this episode in his life and how he's been able to navigate it and still be happy and still be grateful. But before we get into that, guys, if you're not already following me on YouTube, make sure you do. I don't know what you're still doing if you haven't already. If you're not already following me on the podcast, please do as well. All links are in the description. And if you're not following me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, it's all in the link. Please do follow as well. Right. Chris, thank you so much. It's amazing to have you join us for this.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, Dr. Viv. It's great to meet you, and I'm excited for our conversation.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. So, Chris, tell me, you are known as the El Conquistador. Did I say that right?
Close. You're close. El Conquistador.
El Conquistador.
Yes.
Okay. El Conquistador. So tell me, where did you get that from?
Okay, that's an inside joke between me and my brother. When we were growing up, we listened to this comedy show here in the U.S. called The Bob and Tom Show, and a comedian on there one time had this bit where he would have telemarketers call him, and he would have them refer to him as El Conquistador, just to throw them off. And so when he got married, on the little table tent that was on my best man plate, he had put El Conquistador. And so it was a nice little inside joke. And a few people kind of looked at it a little weirdly, but it was just a fun little ad. And I thought it would be kind of a fun little joke that we could have together now.
And what does it mean?
It means the conqueror. It's Spanish.
Ah, nice. El Conquistador.
Yes. There you go.
Yes, I got it this time. So, Chris, I mean, I know it was an inside joke, but when we look at it, you have really been a conqueror yourself. You have, you've sort of, embodied that name. You experienced like a flesh-eating bacteria. I think it's known as and please correct me if I don't say it correctly, necrotizing facilities. Tell me more.
Necrotizing fasciitis.
Necrotizing
fasciitis.
Fasciitis. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me more about it, because I know a lot of people, it's something they may not know about, and I didn't know about myself.
Certainly. It is literally flesh-eating bacteria, and it is caused by a strand of group A strep, known as Streptococcus pyogenes.
Right.
And it's very, very rare, but however, people can get it, and usually people with immunodeficiency syndromes, compromised immune systems, those who have cancer, diabetes, they are usually the people who contract it. I am just one of the lucky outliers, I guess.
Wow. So how did it, I know you contacted it sometime in 2015. What happened?
Yes.
How did it, what happened? What's the story behind how you contacted?
Well, as a little backdrop, there had been strep in my family.
Right.
And so it was in the area already. But on Wednesday, March 18th, give or take, I was flying my younger son to the garage to help my wife get all the kids and herself to school. She's a school teacher here in town, and my twins were 2 at the time. They were going to daycare, and my older son was going to kindergarten. I am an online teacher. And, you know, even before people were teaching online due to the COVID-19 crisis, I've been doing it for 8 years. And so 2015 was my third year teaching online. So I was helping my wife, Becky, get all the kids ready to go. So I was flying Seth, my younger son, back and forth to the garage. I flew too far to the right, and I scraped my right hand, on the garage wall.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And so I thought nothing of it. I put him in the car. I kissed everyone goodbye. I waved them off, and then I went back inside, cleaned out the wound as well as I thought I had, you know, done, and then I went on my work day. And it really didn't seem that bad until 3 days later. And on Saturday the 21st, I woke up to a big bump on my right elbow, about the size of a lacrosse ball.
Wow.
And then, so it was red and tender, and I decided to go to the walk-in clinic here in New Ulm, Minnesota. The attending doctor said, well, it might be bursitis, keep an eye on it, and come back if the situation changes. Well, it changed. It went from a little bump on my elbow to engulfing my right arm, shoulder, chest, and back.
Wow.
If you're familiar with the superhero, the Incredible Hulk, I look like him in mid-transformation.
Wow.
You know, my left arm was normal size. My right arm was triple the size of my left arm.
Wow. And this was just from a scratch?
Yes.
Wow. 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 So you contracted it. What happened next at this point?
Well, they admitted me into the emergency room that night and immediately tried to get a blood pressure reading, but they couldn't because I had gone into sepsis.
Wow.
Because my body was trying to fight off this infection, so it started pumping those chemicals into my bloodstream, but that caused my blood pressure to just go crazy. Basically, they couldn't get a proper reading, and so they kept me overnight, kept observing me. Mm-hmm. And then the next morning, that attending doctor came up to my gurney and said, "Mr. Gordon, this is beyond us. Where do you want to go?" And immediately I told them I want to go to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. And I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. It's a very famous hospital group. In fact, many members of the Saudi Arabian royal family have gone there for their treatments.
Right.
And so it's world renowned. So that's not the only reason I wanted to go, though. The other reason is because my in-laws live in that town. They live in Rochester, and my father-in-law at the time was a chaplain at the hospital.
Right.
So I knew I had some extra connections there.
Okay.
Yes.
So, you contracted it, you had to seek treatment for it. And so right now, are you fully recovered from it, or how does it work at this point?
Yes, I am fully recovered. What they did was they flew me to Mayo, they admitted me, and then they soon after started giving me antibiotics and painkillers, and then got me into surgery. And I was put into a medical coma for about 5 days, from Sunday night to Thursday night. Okay. And in that time, they debrided the area that was infected, basically filleted me like a fish. Mm-hmm. They at one point told my wife that they were going to have to take my right arm.
Wow. Because
the infection had gone so far. But thankfully, the occupational therapist who was in attendance for this second surgery, where they were going to take my arm, told them that I still had hand function. So they extracted a 15-inch by 4-inch flap of skin from my left thigh and placed it on my right arm, my right forearm and hand. And since it's my thigh on my hand, I call it my fan. And so I think I should copyright that. I don't think anyone else has used that term before.
Wow. Wow.
But they've also had to take a lot of skin grafts from my legs and my back. And so I'm not sure if you are familiar with the character Deadpool.
Yes.
Yes. I look like a discount Deadpool. It's all, in fact, I can show you here. Give me 1 second here. So there's my arm there.
Yeah.
I'm literally and figuratively ripped. You can see there. And then here's my rib cage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then, they even took a nipple. So
wow.
So I'm permanently PG. And then there's a big gash from where they had to extract the flap of skin from my forearm. However, I'm also a runner, and I used to play soccer or football, and so my thighs are rather big. They could not close my wound up with all my muscles intact, so they had to remove my vastus lateralis, which is the outer muscle in your quadricep.
Wow. Okay.
And then they had to install knobs on either side of my wound and put a Jacob's ladder type of formation inside my wound so they could tighten it up over time.
Wow.
So on my left thigh, I don't have a quad, I have a tri.
Wow. I love how you come up with all this terms.
Yes.
So now you don't have a quad, now you have a tri.
Yeah.
Wow. This must not have been, I mean, I know you said you're fully recovered now, and I mean, you've shown me some of the scars, and this is the thing about scars, that a lot of times they still are there to remind you of the story. Mm-hmm. How was it for you mentally at the time all of this was going on?
You know, I had heard stories about people experiencing PTSD and depression, but immediately, as soon as I awoke from my coma, aside from the hallucinations that I had, that were many, that could be its own episode in itself, the hallucinations I had. But I was overcome with a sense of gratitude and appreciation for our community, because so many people stepped up to help me and my family, that I was first thankful that I was alive and we had all this support, but also I was almost automatically driven to recover and rebound from this.
Wow. And what gave you the most drive? Because a lot of times when people are going through things, you're just feeling the pressure. Like, I can imagine for you and for your family, I wonder what was it even like for your family? What was it for your wife? And
it was very stressful. In fact, my wife and I, Becky and I, were talking about this last night, that it was, at some points it was very, promising, the news she was getting. Sometimes they'll say, hey, we were able to do this. And then someone would come back and say, well, we're not out of the woods yet. And then, she would see something that would, look like it's going to be very serious. There are times where, there's one time in particular where they were drawing a line where the infection was spreading to. And at one point the line was drawn at the base of my neck. And that this was too much for her, and she had to leave the room to compose herself. But they are champs. My wife, especially Becky, is phenomenal in so many ways, but especially in this situation. because not only did she have to make sure that the kids were okay and taken care of, and we had some help with that, but I mean, she spearheaded it. But also, she is, like I said, a full-time teacher. And so she had to make sure that her students were taken care of. And so the first 2 weeks, everyone stayed in Rochester with Becky's parents. But then after that, she would take the kids home to New Ulm, and we're about 2 hours away from Rochester. She would teach 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And then Thursday night, she would round up the kids and drive to Rochester. And then Friday, a retired teacher would come in and teach her classes. And that went on for about 6 weeks.
Okay.
That happened. And, you know, so that, you know, we have, like I said, a lot of support from the community, you know, especially her district, for coming up with this arrangement, allowing it to happen. But yeah, I don't know what would have happened if my wife weren't as wonderful as she is.
Wow. I'm pretty sure you have told her this, have you?
Yes. And I did, and I'm not to say I've repaid her, but that year was our 10th year of marriage. And as I was recovering, we couldn't really do anything for our 10th anniversary other than go to dinner. So the next year, when she turned an age that is sometimes celebrated.
Okay.
We doubled up, and I surprised her with a trip to Boston, Massachusetts, because she's a history teacher and she'd never been to Boston. And so I arranged it with her parents to come and surprise her. And so they came a couple days early just to get her and the kids acclimated to the idea that mom and dad were going to be gone for a few days. And so we flew out on July 4th, Independence Day, for us here in the States. And then we did a bunch of history-related events because, you know, being a history teacher, this was like almost her mecca, you know, because there's so much that has gone on in Boston. And so I'm still repaying her as much as I can every day. But yeah, she's just wonderful.
Oh, that's really beautiful to hear, because there's nothing like having family and, you know, understand and be there for you,
Yes.
you know, in those moments, because there are many things that people don't ask for, but that happen. And it's the support systems that you have that
Yes.
help you to keep going, which sounds like it was what helped you get going at the time.
Yes, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention my brother as well. He and I both grew up in Michigan, which is the state that looks like a mitten. And we both grew up here. This is how we Michiganders tell you where we're from.
Okay.
But he flew over as soon as he knew I was in the hospital, what I had. And he stayed with us, stayed in Rochester for the week. He helped Becky out, helped the kids out. He bought me an iPad so I could communicate and, you know, be able to be entertained in the hospital. And I feel really bad for all the bad things I did for him when he is younger, because he is a fantastic human being. And, you know, it would have been a lot harder if he hadn't been there for us.
I'm sure that every sibling has something to say about what we did to our siblings when we were younger.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he has forgiven you.
Yes, I hope so.
That's beautiful. So, you know, coming back to those moments when, you know, we just talked about the depression and the PTSD and all of that. What got you through those moments?
You know, first of all, it was the support of the family and friends and colleagues and actually total strangers. One of Becky's friends had set up a GoFundMe account, and that helped us offset some costs that we had incurred because, or lost wages actually, because I ran out of sick days. You know, our healthcare system in the United States isn't on par with basically the rest of the industrialized world. So people stood up for us there. But also, I also felt that with all these people stepping up, that for me to develop a pessimistic, negative attitude would be a slap in the face. It would be a total affront to all the kindness and compassion that they showed me and my family. And so I took it upon myself to develop the attitude of gratitude, that I was going to first take count of all the positive things in my life, not only the big things, but also the small things. And then, I was going to share my appreciation with others. I was going to acknowledge those whom I appreciated. And then I was going to do my best, even on my, in my journey, to, give others a chance to feel appreciated and feel thankful for something that I've done for them.
Wow. It's so inspiring to hear that, this experience, really did that. And you do a lot of this through your professional speaking. Am I correct?
Yes, I do.
Talking to people. I hearing your story is so amazing because I know I have heard of stories of, is it syphilis or what's it called now? The sepsis, sorry.
Sepsis, yes.
Sepsis. I've heard, about sepsis, and I have heard about what it can do to the body and how people lose body parts because of it. And it can be really, really tough. So you have all the scars, but somehow you found, the silver lining through all of it, to still be thankful, for how you pulled through and came out on the other end. And, you're talking about gratitude. A lot of people, for example, when we think about this pandemic now, it's sometimes tough to see the silver lining.
Yes.
It's sometimes tough to be grateful. So I guess, in the middle of it, I know you were able to find something to be grateful for, but were you always able to do that? Or at what point did you accept it and say, okay, now it's time for me to find something to be grateful for?
I've always been fortunate enough to not be in a place where I, was in great want. And so I felt that for me, being, grateful, always saying thank you, always appreciating what I had was instilled in me by my parents. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what made this transition within me easier to accept, because being thankful for what I had was never an issue. I think, though, this situation has made it more of an imperative for me to not only be grateful, but also share that message with others and step up and say, hey, this is something that we all can do, and this is going to make the world a better place, one person at a time.
Right. Wow. Okay. Right. So right now, what would be your one message to the world as people try to navigate the crisis and as we all come out of it and are trying to bounce back?
I would say I have two steps. First of all, I would develop the attitude of gratitude, because I think that is what gets people moving. That's, because if you feel that everything is against you, that there's nothing in your corner, no one in your corner, nothing to look forward to, it's really hard to do much else. And so, again, look for the great things and little things in your life that you appreciate. I mean, it could be something as seemingly insignificant as how your shoes feel on your feet. It could be, for example, I am a huge geek. I'm an unabashed geek. I love my Transformers.
Okay.
This is Optimus Prime, if you're not familiar. I love Transformers. I'm thankful that I, have this guy I can tool around with. I could transform him if I wanted to. I'm thankful for Yoda back there. I love my Star Wars. Grover. So I'm thankful that I have these creative outlets, because they do help me. If I want a little escapism, they're there for me. And so be grateful for what you have, and then share your appreciation for someone with them, because you never know who might need to hear a thank you. And, be specific about it. What do you appreciate about them, or what did they do for you that you greatly appreciate? And then step up and do something for them or someone else that they could be grateful, and then continue that cycle. It's basically the game tag. You think about it. You think about all the good things and good things and big things and little things in your life. You acknowledge the appreciated, and then you give someone something to appreciate themselves. TAG. And so that's one thing. The other thing is to set a goal. When I was in the hospital, one of the things I did was I got on my iPad and I ordered a new pair of running shoes. So when I was discharged from the hospital, I had a new pair of running shoes that would motivate me to get back into running. And so I would say set a goal for yourself, and then set benchmarks or objectives to help you along the way, because a goal without a plan is just a wish. And being a special education teacher, we are trained at setting goals and objectives. And so I just turned that towards myself. I said, okay, what's my goal? How do I get there?
Wow. So put on an attitude of gratitude. And, there's something key that you also said in there, which is that we should do something for someone else and appreciate someone else. Those little thank yous. I know I've heard this thing that, and I know as someone in well-being, that when you can shift the focus from yourself and do good to others, it actually improves your own sense of well-being.
Yes.
So by thanking someone else for even the littlest of things, we make them feel better, but also make ourselves feel better. And I guess the whole world needs some sort of, good all round. Everyone needs to feel better. I think that's so powerful, Chris, so powerful. And this thing you just said about goals, I do agree that, you are right. And I guess what you're challenging the world on right now is to, in spite of what is going on with the pandemic, that we should set even the littlest of goals so that it gives us motivation to keep going.
Yes.
Have you got any last words around what else? Let me put it this way. You're in a hall right now, and I know you're a professional speaker. You're in a hall right now with 500 students.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And all the students, they have had to have their exams and all of that moved. They have, many of them we're looking forward to GCSEs and all the rest. And they are still trying to come to terms with the shock of it and the uncertainty. What one word of advice will you give to that 500 seats of field hall of students?
I would say that, again, take account or think of all the good things that you have, and then use that gratitude that within yourself to do something for someone else. And it could be setting doing a community goal or a community project for your area. It could be teaming up with a classmate or a few classmates to challenge yourselves to do the best that you can in some endeavor. But, those who are just surviving can only survive so long. You have to step forward, and even baby steps are still steps forward. Mm-hmm. And so, find a goal, find something to strive forward, and people will take notice. And, and people will see you rise up and lead. And that's what we need right now. We need leaders who will show up when the hard times come and help others get through them.
Wow. Thank you. I love it, Chris. I love it, Chris. And Chris, if people want to check you out, if people want to connect with you, where can they go? Where can they go to connect with you?
they could go to my website, which is www.chrisdtgordon.com. That's Gordon. That's my website where I talk about my public speaking. I also offer one-on-one coaching for those who want a more intimate connection, so we can help you get through a goal or develop the attitude of gratitude. I'm also on YouTube, where I make some short videos, and I also have some interviews with people that have gone through similar situations that I have, and that's Chris D.T. Gordon. And also my podcast that I've started. It's called Scar Bearers. And like some of those YouTube videos, I focus on my experience with necrotizing fasciitis and the lessons I've learned. And I talk with people who either have had NF themselves or other situations and how they've made it through. And that's at anchor.fm/scar-bearers. And additionally, I'm on Instagram at Chris D.T. Gordon. And then if you ever want to drop me a line, it's chrisdtgordon@gmail.com.
Nice. Thanks, Chris. And I think we would include the links as well in the notes. Chris, it has been so amazing. I think you are so inspiring, and thank you as well for showing the scars. The wounds may be gone, but the scars may just be there, just as a story, and to remind people. And thank you as well for showing us and letting us understand the seriousness around it and how you have bounced back from that. It's been a true pleasure. Well, guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much to everyone. Remember, please connect with Chris. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, all links in the description. If you're not already following me on Instagram, on Facebook, or on Twitter, I don't know what you're waiting for. But guys, until next time, I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode of Research with Dr. Viv. Take care, stay well, and God bless.